Hello everyone, welcome to the deep dive. I'm joined by Josh Williams for this one at Distance Covered, the lad with the greatest Substack known to man. Josh, thank you very much for joining me today. I missed a good show, I believe, last week. Paul's full of it.
It was a great show, but it was long.
That's what happens when Paul talks.
Yeah.
He does a lot of that, doesn't he?
I think one of our shows was over an hour.
Yeah, that's Paul, that.
So, yeah long.
But 50 minutes of Paul talking, 10 minutes of you?
Well, about that, yeah. I think I got about 12.
You've done well there, mate. That's pretty good.
It was a solid debut, mate. It was genuinely good, yeah.
Nice to do it with someone different.
Yeah, and we brought back the whole depth chart as well.
Yeah, he loves the depth chart. He did it on the podcast this week as well, like. Loves the depth chart, does that, Paul? So we're here to do a Q&A today. We're going to be doing a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 on YouTube, part 2 over on Redmen Plus as well. Straight after we do this, we're going to have about a 5-minute break or something, have a little drink and crack on. So if you've got any questions for us in the YouTube comments, I do have them up this week. Don't normally put the YouTube comments on during the deep dive because we've got a specific sort of like plan for the show and it kind of takes us out of it a little bit, but now is the time, isn't it, in a Q&A. So we've got questions that came in from Facebook, we've got questions that came in from Instagram stories, Instagram feed, Twitter and your Instagram as well. So quite a lot to dive into today, if you pardon the pun. So we'll start off with Bryce Fingston, I think. And he's asked, Josh, I've noticed since watching old videos of Klopp's teams that the amount of space at the back that was left open, the amount of space players had to run to cover was a lot. It almost seems like chaos and one pass will be able to break through the whole line. Can you do a sort of side-by-side comparison and show what Klopp was trying to do versus Slot's more zone, closing the gap kind of press where players are in better positions? I've learned a ton about football since Slot has come in and I wanted to see the sort of difference.
I think a lot of it stems from the use of the ball, really. Like I think Klopp, you know, when the ball was in these areas, and Salah has since come out and said this, Virgil I think has touched on it, Curtis Jones I think has touched on it as well. The whole kind of idea of well, it was a 4-3-3 back then, wasn't it? The whole idea of basically bypassing the middle of the park as a means of like getting the ball up the field, but then you can then press. Yeah. And that was Klopp's big chance creation mechanism. It was get the ball in the final third, the dangerous areas, and press the opposition into a mistake and then punish that mistake. That was his original idea, dating back to Mainz and all that stuff. But the problem is if you're going along and you're doing that kind of stuff, you might just be a bit more open. There might be bigger spaces. The ball might get knocked back, and then it is a bit of a basketball game and stuff like that. Whereas Slot, it's a lot more methodical. It's a lot more like we move gradually up the pitch through like 5-yard passes and stuff like that, and we take risks as a unit when we're allowed to take risks, so that if everyone's forward and you kind of lose the ball here or something by giving away a 5-yard pass, well, everyone's immediately there, so you feel more compact and you concede less. But what I will say though is that I think peak Liverpool under Klopp, when we won like the Premier League and the Champions League, we were compact back then. You know, that was not a team you could cut open easily at all. So I'm not exact. I don't want to paint this narrative that Klopp was just wide open all the time, because it weren't the case. But I think in his final 2 seasons he was, mainly because of his midfield department. Even when we invested in the midfielders, they were not like runs like Henderson and Wijnaldum and that. They were more technical players like a McAllister who, you know, when he starts running, he looks like one of them counters, mate. He's just go completely red. So I don't know. I think there's different ways of doing it, and I think the bottom line is Klopp's press was still very, very good and was still really compact in that. But the way in which he creates the pressing situations intentionally, I almost feel like Slot wants to avoid pressing situations if it can be helped, because it means he's lost the ball. Yeah. I don't think he wants to lose the ball.
And that's it, isn't it? I think a lot of managers and certainly, you know, people around football believe that every time you give the ball away, and Slot, I think, has said this in interviews, is you are giving up a chance at shooting a goal.
Yeah.
So if you make a risky pass then not only have you given up a chance for yourself to have a shot on goal, but you've potentially given them an extra chance on goal in a turnover style way of football. So decrease the turnovers and increase your shooting. And if you're going to shoot, make sure you get it on target type of thing as well.
It feels a bit like that word turnovers. It feels like when Klopp first came to England, turnovers were a big deal. English football favoured turnovers, end-to-end stuff, pinball at times, and Klopp was just the best at coaching his team to thrive in the turnover. I think now we've almost drifted away from that, where City and Arsenal especially hate any kind of turnover at all. That's why they're playing like 6 centre-halves, and it's why they are just taking very few risks on the ball, and it's borderline boring when you're watching them. It's because they don't want the ball to get into that loose state that Klopp loved. That's why Klopp
thrived in.
Yeah, that's why Klopp has always been painted as more entertaining as a coach, because he just leaned into like chaos a bit more.
Absolutely. Okay, we've had one. We'll take one from the YouTube comments now. And Koo has said it's Josh Shingle.
Who's asked that? Is that a fella?
I don't know, mate.
No, sadly not.
Taken?
Yeah, taken, mate, yeah.
Okay, there you go. Got your answer. Dan Thompson says, aight. The 6 forwards in order of importance in your opinion?
Okay. Salah is number 1.
Jota 2?
Yeah, we'll go Jota 2.
Diaz 3?
Diaz 3. Gakpo 4.
Ooh.
Nunes 5.
Ooh.
Chiesa 6.
Okay.
Purely because if Salah's number 1, Chiesa's 6, Salah's going to be playing all the time. Are you surprised at that, are you? You look surprised.
I am a little bit. I think I'd have switched 5 and 6 around.
You put Nunes last?
Yeah.
See, the reason I had Nunes 5th is because Jota misses games. So Jota will get injured, sadly. So you're going to need Nunes, whereas Salah, you're going to need Chiesa less just because Salah's always there. You know what I mean? That was my view on it.
Convinced that Nunes is going to be the starting centre forward if Jota's out?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think anyone else. I mean, depending on the game, I think he would use Gakpo there. There's people have talked on Salah playing there. Can't see that ever happening. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on then. We've got some more here. I'll go to one from Allah DVDG. It's in the Facebook in the middle at the top there. Let's say Trent signs a 4 to 5 year deal. Can Conor Bradley have a future as a left back? We saw Kadioglu playing as a right-footed left-back and do very well, and since Arne Slot plays with inverted wingers, maybe Bradley can play there as well. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I also like the idea of Trent playing as a left-back. I've always wondered about that one. I'm not really sure why we've never done it, but if the left-back's going to do that suits being right-footed. So having Bradley here, doing that, holding the width, which I think he naturally does, and letting Trent come inside from this side of the pitch, and then he's got kind of that as his vision. I think we could see that as well, but I think the pair of them are capable of doing it. I said yesterday on my podcast that I think Bradley is kind of... I see a lot of Robertson and Bradley, but I don't think Robertson... I can't see Robertson ever in midfield, but I can actually see Bradley doing bits of that, so... Yeah, I think Bradley could be quite a complete fullback and eventually do bits in there. We saw bits of that in pre-season. But the idea of Trent in there intrigues me a bit more.
Okay. I don't, to answer just the sort of specifics on the question for me, I don't see Bradley as ever being a left-back for us.
When I say left-back though, I don't mean
I know.
that I'm a Lorden left-back, being inverted.
I think what he does that is superb is what he gets to here. And so I would be more tempted to do your second option where you did maybe Trent over there or whatever, but we've had a lot of chances created against Manchester United. I think 3 chances were created by Andy Robertson in this sort of area here, and I do think that the inverted fullback, as an example, marauding with Diaz, just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's where I stand on it. We'll go over to Instagram. Mighty Reds _97, a good Instagram content creator. Go and check him out. If you could bring back one player that would suit Slot's system perfectly, who would it be?
See, it depends on this question, really. Because I think specifically the end where he says who'd suit Slot's system perfectly makes me think. Well, I would just bring back Luis Suarez, I think. Because I think
that's amazing.
I think he's the best Liverpool player I've ever seen. So
done.
And
stick him up front. Yeah, watch him score 40 goals a season.
Put him there. Yeah, just put him there. That's what I do. I think.
Do you know what? You're not going better than that.
But I think system-wise, if you're thinking of systems and that, you're being specific on tactics and stuff, probably Fabinho. Just because of the need of the team, the whole six thing, I think Fabinho would slot in there. Peak Fabinho would start in there fine. Like,
yeah.
What about you?
Steven Gerrard, I think, is the other obvious answer.
See, the only problem with that, what happens to Szoboszlai? Because
there was different iterations of Steven Gerrard, wasn't there?
So are you going number 10?
No, there's box-to-box midfielder, so he could play in one of them positions. There's the old DM quarterback, Steven Gerrard, if you want. There's the number 10 behind Fernando Torres. There's the right winger where he scored about 19 goals in a season to back up Mo Salah if you wanted to. There's the young right back, Steven Gerrard, if you remember correctly as well. There is no role in the midfield there that Steven Gerrard can't play.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree. But I think profile-wise, he's just very, very similar to Szoboszlai. I think he's the same with De Bruyne. I think.
Is he better though?
Is he better than Szoboszlai?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There you go then.
Yeah. But you don't want Szoboszlai on the bench.
Well, if you got Steven Gerrard, who cares?
Well, you can't be benching Szoboszlai though.
Well,
you need them both on the pitch.
Bench someone else.
That's what I'm saying.
Keep Szoboszlai. I'm fine with it.
If you play Gerrard with De Bruyne, they would get in each other's way. You've seen it now with Madrid, with Vinicius and Mbappe. The luxury problem, obviously. If you want luxury problems, sound.
Mate, Steven Gerrard, or I think your first answer was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, Luis Suarez.
I'm going to go over to Martin Moncomedy, who asks, how long can we keep our clean sheet record going? I think we can push it pretty far. I think this one's probably a good one to sort of dive into the numbers on a little bit more than anything, isn't it? Because I think I'm right in saying, in terms of goalkeepers, Josh, Alisson Becker has saved maybe the third most amount of expected goals from a goalkeeper this season.
Let's have a look. So in terms of shots on target, only City have faced fewer, and that's 6. So Alisson's only made 7 saves. And in terms of expected goals faced, well, are we doing post-shot?
Post-shot expected goals, yeah. I said it, third. I said it.
I've got second.
Oh, 1.7 I've got squad.
Oh, you're doing over performance?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Alisson's... I didn't realise he was doing that well. It feels like we haven't...
Just don't know the numbers like Chrissy P. I actually didn't look. I saw it on Twitter the other day.
Oh, okay. It feels
just a random tweet. I was like, oh, I'll remember that.
It feels like we haven't really faced anything.
Yeah.
That must mostly be against Man United then. Because we kept a clean sheet in that game. But I think even regardless of the clean sheets, the bottom line is just as long as you're not facing much, that'll win your games. If you're consistently facing very little, and that's been the case, you know, against Ipswich we faced pretty much nothing. Brentford again, pretty much nothing. Certainly in open play. And against Man United, nothing until we had the game won. And then once we had the game won, then they came into it a bit more and had a few shots with Xerxes and that. So keep doing that, and the clean sheets will follow.
Yeah. And just to put it into context as well, in terms of just the expected goals, the post-shot expected goals, we are second, 1.7. Only Manchester City have bettered that figure. So in terms of our overall defending, we're expected to have done better than 18 of the other 19 teams in the league. So yeah, our overall defending is clearly better, and Alisson is just the guy who hasn't conceded a goal yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's so excellent. So I think that answers that question pretty well. I am going to move back on then. Logan Hammond asks, it's the big one. What do you prefer, a Burger King or a Mackey's?
Mackey's by a mile.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
The amount of times Josh has a Mackey's just before we're about to start filming. The occasional Subway?
Yeah. Do you know what it is? It's because I'm on the move. It's because I'm I'm going place to place. I don't really ever have days in where I'm just sat there doing nothing. I'm always kind of about. So while I'm on the move, the easy option's always Mackey's. And if I've got a bit more time, a Subway. But Not the biggest fan of Burger King, you know. No. And KFC as well.
Oh, I love KFC.
No.
It brings us on to the next question then. I'm moving on to the second page now. A. Bengfield says, A, why are you always on holiday?
Did you see one of the questions on that? When a question, it was someone just basically said, stop going on holiday.
Did they?
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that's what it's about. That's what I'm big on doing. Traveling as much as possible and exploring as much as possible. So, and I've seen quite a few places now as well. I'm getting to the point now where I'm going to slightly more obscure places. I mean, I don't think Croatia is particularly obscure, is it? But I've done the whole Paris and Spain and all that stuff. So I just like exploring. I don't know.
Fair enough, innit?
Yeah.
B, when do you think Chiesa is likely to get his first bit of action and why?
Action on the pitch?
Yeah.
Okay. It just fits with the single thing, doesn't it?
Throw me that, you know, mate.
It fits with asking whether I'm single.
That's so funny.
So soon, to be honest, that everyone's wobbled a bit at the fact that Slot hasn't really used any of his squad yet in the first 3 games. But I think it's because we've only had 1 game a week. Just use your best team, simple. But I think now that we've got a game every 3 days until it's like
forever,
February or something, innit? Yeah. So now we will start seeing the squad get used. So who have we got next? Forest. I think this potentially gets used off the bench against Forest. His first start maybe comes outside the Premier League, I would guess.
Milan.
Maybe Milan might be a bit. West Ham potentially, yeah. That might be his first start, West Ham. But I'm looking forward to it though because he's a good player to watch.
Absolutely. Do you ever think I'll ask for myself, do you ever think we're going to see him on the left-hand side?
Yeah, I think he favours the left more. But I think your problem is you've got Gakpo and Diaz wanting minutes over there. And I think if Chiesa comes in and gets minutes over there before Gakpo does, Gakpo has every right then to be a bit annoyed, to be honest. So I think it'd be a case of Gakpo or Diaz gets injured and then the starting fella needs a rest. So Chiesa plays over there and Salah plays over here or something. So, but that's the beauty of signing. You can play anywhere really.
Okay, we're going to move on then. Gary Allwood, Facebook. Do you know what? Normally, right, can I just say, normally Facebook comments for some reason are garbage. Like, all of the Facebook ones are absolutely brilliant. So well done, Facebookers. Gary Allwood says, also, does XG reflect game state? Our forwards were often criticised for missing chances, but with us often being a goal down within the first 20 minutes, surely the pressure is different if you're 1-0 down or 1-0 up. Can XG ever reflect this?
Have you got your NDI on?
Yeah.
So, go to Understat.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to, and just go to like the most recent Liverpool game against Man United.
No problem.
So, XG doesn't technically reflect game state, but you can use a race map, go to the top, timing chart. So we can show the viewers that is a XG timeline for the course of the game, right? So what you can see based on that, at the end of the game, what was the overall XG? It was fairly even.
It was about 2.3 to Liverpool, probably about 1.8 to Manchester United, 1.6 to Man United.
See, that suggests it's a close-ish game, but that basically visualises Man United at the blue line.
Their XG only goes up when they're 3-0 down.
Exactly. They create their first decent chance on the hour mark, basically. By that point, Liverpool have created about 3 or 4 belters. So that visualises, right, the XG was relatively comparable in terms of it being an even game. But if you look at the race map of it, the timing chart of it, Liverpool were out of sight by the time Man United started creating it. And so it doesn't reflect game state, but it can if you use the right tools, basically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stick with Facebook. Matthew Rose McGee says, after conceding the first goal in almost half of our games last season, it's so refreshing to start this campaign without conceding the goal in the first 3 games. Ignoring, to a degree, the quality of the opposition we have faced so far, what do you see as the reason why we are seemingly able to keep the door closed much easier this season? And is this an FB ref or is this a board?
Probably a bit of both. I would primarily put it down to Liverpool's use of the ball, and that's what I've put a lot of Liverpool's defensive improvement down to. I just think Liverpool now are a lot more calculated with how they use the ball. And if you look at Liverpool's possession this season, obviously we're only 3 games in, but Liverpool's possession share so far is 57%, right? And I think last season I'm pretty certain it was higher. So those numbers suggest that last season we actually had more of the ball on the clock. Last season Liverpool posted 61, so they were 3rd. So it's not necessarily keeping the ball, it's just the use of the ball. I think visually on the eye test has been smarter so far. And when we've had the lead especially, just chill on it and don't force the issue. Be a bit more sensible. I think the only player who's kind of forced it at times has been Trent. But other than that, everyone else has been very we're relaxed, we're in control, the ball belongs to us and all that. And I think if you do that and you accelerate the game at the right times, everyone then knows when to expect that. Everyone can be positioned in the right place. I think the kind of tactical line, if you want it, is basically sort your rest defence out before you take a chance. A rest defence is basically when you've got the ball, are you in a position where if you lose it, you can immediately defend? And I think Liverpool under Klopp last season and the season before struggled with that. We tend to just try something and Jota would be over there and Szoboszlai would be here and that, and it'd just be a bit mad. Whereas I think Slotter's kind of tackled that a little bit.
There's just a lot more structure moving forwards, and therefore you've got that structure when you lose the ball and if you lose the ball as well, don't you? And I think you're right there, mate, and I think it's really interesting because it is a small sample size. I think I've been sort of thinking about this over the course of the international break, whereby, listen, we've had a fantastic start, but everybody had played Klopp sides for near 9 years. This is the first time they're coming up against the Slot side, so it's not how well. It's brilliant that we've done so well, and I believe we'll continue to do well. But the more video there is of Slot's Liverpool, the more teams are going to come at us in different ways and make it difficult. One of the things that's impressed me the most over the course of this season so far is when we are playing a team who are just sat in their block in those specific game states, we found it really easy to get through them and create the chances. And that, I think, was the hardest thing for Klopp's team to do, because we were so used to accelerating the game quickly from the right back maybe over to the left winger that we were brilliant at attacking space. But when we did sort of come through, and it's highlighted last season, we had 61% of the ball, as you said. When it was a block, I always felt we struggled and we just ended up passing it around here for absolute days looking for the perfect thing, whereas this Liverpool side seemed to be okay with that. But it's how teams are going to defend against us over the next sort of block of fixtures, where I think you'll get a real idea of Slot's Liverpool and what we can achieve this season.
Yeah, what I will say as well, one thing I'm kind of, I wouldn't say concerned about, but one thing I'm intrigued to see is how we behave when we concede first. Because if you're going to do the whole patience thing and the whole stand on with your studs on the ball and expecting players to come and pressure and stuff like that, I mean, the opposition aren't going to do that if they have a lead. So seeing if Liverpool suddenly start forcing the issue and almost reverting back to old bad habits will be interesting if Liverpool go a goal down. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully we stay patient, but that isn't easy when you know you need to get back in the game. So that's going to be a big test when it happens for the first time.
Hind just says Victor Gyökeres. Now, I think we deserve a little bit of credit on this one, because we found him when we were doing our... Was it... I can't remember what show it was, but we found him, didn't we?
I think it was replacing Salah. And he showed up based on his Coventry numbers, weren't he?
Yeah.
And his Coventry numbers were boss. And I remember, I think I said to you at the time, because I think he just moved to Sporting or something. I said that's a data signing, that, because his numbers were outrageous in the Championship, and
they still are now, by the way.
Yeah.
You can see there, obviously, he scored 44 goals in 46 in his last season in the Championship. And then he went on to Sporting and scored 32 in 33, and has currently this season got 4 in 4 for them.
No, he scored 44 goals.
4 in 4. Oh, sugar, I'm reading the wrong thing there, aren't I? Sorry, apologies, everybody. I'm an idiot.
Ballon d'Or stuff, mate.
21 in 44, 29 in 32, and he's got 7 in 4 this season, which is even better than the figures that I'd said. Like, that's incredible. And he's a centre forward, isn't he? I think more than anything.
Yeah, but that final season in the Championship, posting 31 goals and assists in 46 appearances, while being 24 and also a unit, and he's fast and that, so really good player, really good unit as well. But probably just a little bit too old now, do you think? When I say too old, he's not too old. But for Liverpool,
just 26, just turned
26, yeah. I think Liverpool would, I don't know.
Just like Chiesa.
The boat's probably sailed for Liverpool, I think. I think with Chiesa, you got Chiesa for 10 million. Yeah. You're not going to get him for 10 million. But he's really good, and if someone like Arsenal went for him, which I thought they might have, he'd be interesting to see in the Premier League, like.
Absolutely. Okay. I just saw one there, but it was about Curtis Jones, because I thought that was an interesting one, but I've kind of lost that now. Somebody said it's Chris single. No. Married, kids, real life. What are the top 3 milestones you want this crop of players to achieve this season, says Anas?
Milestones?
Yeah. I want Salah to get 45 goals and assists.
Combined? Okay. That's what did he do last season? In the Premier League, are we talking, or are we all comps?
All comps, but I mean, if he could do it in the Prem, great.
Yeah.
That would be something that I want him to achieve.
I think I would want Liverpool. I'd like 90 points.
Oh, yes.
I really like that number, especially when you're going against Guardiola. If you get 90 points, you have a chance then.
You're in the race.
Against Guardiola, yeah. If you got less than 90, you probably haven't won a league. So that would be a big milestone to hit. For slotting his first season, it will be amazing.
And probably should we just add in the European Cup?
Yeah, winning it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sound.
That's a good 3, isn't it?
Yeah,
if Salah gets 45 goals and assists, by the way, we're in with a very big chance of achieving the 90 points and winning the European Cup.
Yeah. It'd also be nice as well, just as a side one, to just see Kanate and Jota have full seasons. Yeah. To see what they end up being capable of. Like a full season of Jota, you potentially, I mean, not with Haaland around, but you're talking golden boot stuff in a normal season. Jota, I think he scores like 25 if he plays every game. But the problem is he gets injured all the time. So, and Haaland has just got it wrapped up anyway already. So yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go with K-Show 900. Do you think Liverpool are more than capable of challenging City and Arsenal?
Yeah. Liverpool's floor this season, I think, is 3rd. Yeah. I don't think Liverpool can do any worse than 3rd unless something goes dramatically wrong. And I actually think, based on what I've seen early days, Liverpool might finish above Arsenal, I think. So yeah, I was never one of them who thought as soon as Klopp leaves, Liverpool are going to fall off a cliff. I just didn't think that was ever going to happen. If Liverpool are going to fall off a cliff, it happens when Salah and Virgil leave. And that could happen soon, which is worrying. But yeah, I still think Liverpool are title level. Maybe not City level, depends what City do. City are just a bit stupid. But in an ordinary season, at least, I think Liverpool are about 85, 90 points at the minute. So that's usually good enough to compete for the title.
Okay, J_2603. If Gravenberch had a great season in that 6, do we still look for a specialist 6 next season?
It's a good question, that one, isn't it? What do you think?
I think he's been absolutely outstanding in 3 games of football. And he's got better and better each week.
Sound like Ronald Koeman, yeah?
No, listen, I think he's got all the attributes to be able to play that role. I think he's got a little bit of the recovery pace needed because his position probably isn't as good as you'd maybe want in a specialist. But he's got those long legs, a la Fabinho, where he can go gadget the ball back. I think McAllister is doing a lot of work for Gravenberch, and Gravenberch's getting a lot of the credit for McAllister's work. Defensively. I think Gravenberch seems to be getting all the credit, and everyone's a little bit disappointed with McAllister, but McAllister's doing a lot of defensive work in this too. And I think as a pairing, they're absolutely superb at the moment. I think it was a risk for Liverpool to go into the season without signing that specialist. I think it's still a risk now, even after 3 brilliant performances by Gravenberch.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Liverpool probably still need that 6. I think one of the reasons I like, or not like, but I'm never that disappointed when we miss a player like that is because if we do sign Zubimendi, for example, we potentially don't see Gravenberch thrive like this, and everyone's loving Gravenberch thriving at the minute. Everyone's really high on it. But those same people hated Liverpool for missing Zubimendi and not finding an alternative. So you can't really have both things there. So I would like Liverpool to get a specialist 6. But I also want Gravenberch to keep playing because he looks good, mate, and his ceiling is high and that. And but I think the beauty with that is I think Gravenberch can play as an 8 or something, or a little tiny bit further forward. So you can accommodate Gravenberch getting minutes alongside signing a 6. So yeah, I'm still in favour of that.
Yeah, and I will just say, the point of the deep dive is to try and take emotion out of it. I'm absolutely loving Gravenberch, and I'm ecstatic with his performances, but I think you do have to look at the small sample sizes at the same time and wonder, can he extrapolate that over the course of a full season? We shall find out, of course, in due time, and hopefully he does. Here's one from Dylan Greer. Contract situations, and who would you extend or sell or let go on a free? And maybe we specify a little bit more, because I've not actually spoken to you about Salah, and I think I know how you feel about older players, but it'd be great for you to explain whether you would actually give Salah a contract or not.
So, as it stands now, based on what I know about this whole situation and stuff, I would extend all 3. I would keep all 3.
That surprises me.
I don't see any immediate decline. The output is still really, really high. Salah's output last season was, when it comes to expected goals and expected assists, it was higher than his first season when he
scored about 40.
Broke records, yeah. So Salah is still fine. I think he'll still be fine for another 2 seasons. Virgil, I think the same. I think he's a joke. I think his performance against Man United has drifted under the radar. I think he was brilliant. And they're just both so important to Liverpool challenging for a title, Liverpool challenging for a Premier League. And I think as well, losing them, I think Hughes losing them now without having enough time to prepare for it would be a bit of a disaster, really. I think if you're going to lose them, you want to get things in place like seasons before and all that, and Hughes hasn't been able to do that. So I would almost extend purely as a means of like buying yourself some time and everything like that. The problem that comes into it is, how much did he want?
Yeah.
And how long did he want? Because on top of that, let's say you do the whole, well, you're 33 years old thing, and you try and give him a year. Let's say you try and give Virgil a year. Do you reckon offering Virgil van Dijk a year extension would like borderline offend him?
Probably, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You've got to be careful.
He's the captain of your football club, like, you know what I mean? And he's acting like a captain, and he's looking like a captain on the field as well, isn't he?
Yeah, you've got to be careful with all that. Would Salah want an increase, even though he's getting older and might be playing less? So you're paying Salah, you're going to be paying Salah what you were paying him to be absolute prime, playing 90 minutes every 3 days. But moving forward, Salah might get benched here and there for Chiesa, but you're still paying him like he was like peak, playing every single minute. Maybe the same with Van Dijk. So the amount that they want is huge. The amount of time that they want is huge, and on top of that, the potential replacements is huge. Like, we've seen the odd weird link with Bastoni. I think is interesting. Yeah, because he plays where Van Dijk plays. We've seen the odd link with Kubo, which is interesting because Kubo plays where Salah plays. So Liverpool are potentially putting the feelers out there to see, like, right, if we do lose them, what's the step down? Because it will be a step down. How big is the step? If it's too big, you keep them and you do what you can. So, but yeah, genuinely removing emotion from it, I would keep all 3. But I wouldn't have said that about Bobby. I would have lost Bobby. I would have lost Wijnaldum as well. I would have lost Matip. they were all, you know, emotional ones as well. But I agree with all of them. These three, I would keep them all. What about you?
Well, I'm gonna move the conversation on slightly, and I'm gonna take it over to SpotTrack. You track all the salaries and stuff. Now, some of their figures might not be exactly right, of course, but I do find it interesting, and that Mo Salah, that Virgil van Dijk, and that Trent Alexander-Arnold are our three highest earning players, and haven't got those contract renewals sorted, because there was a reset a long time ago in terms of the highest ceiling, where we'd lost a lot of the people who were on high wages and brought them back, and brought it back onto the lower wages, and we'll give you more money if we win trophies. And then those players grew up with us and got a second contract and hit the big time, like Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah's re-signed and all that type of stuff. So there is a part of me that wonders, what are Liverpool doing? Is that the great reset again, where we bring it back in line and the next lot come on a little bit lower and work their way to that big contract? Because I listen, as footballers, all three of them should be getting paid. But you said it ages ago, and it's always stuck with me. You pay contracts on future performance, not past performance, and that's the big difference.
Yeah.
And are you going to get 350 grand a week, 400 grand a week out of Mo Salah over the next 2 to 3 years? And what is going on behind the scenes? Like, it's great that Mo Salah can perform at exactly the same level, but did they see something in the data from their training that suggests he has to do less? He can only do less in the training. And can they see the wall coming? Because nobody saw the wall coming with Fabinho. Nobody saw the wall coming as a fan with Sadio Mane. Ozil. There's but Liverpool players that we've seen, they just fell off.
Yeah, I know.
And is there something where they can see that Salah might?
I know.
Because on the pitch it doesn't look like that at all. But I'm just trying to understand Liverpool's situation here.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing is, though, if you extended Salah, so you've extended him by 2 years, and after the 1 year, he looks like he's wobbling, you could definitely get a really decent fee for him. And that's the thing. And it's the same with Virgil, really, you know, when you think about it. I think the problem is sometimes when you give these players these contracts, you get to a point where you can't shift them. You can't get them out the club because they're earning so much. No one else can afford them, really. No one else wants them because they suddenly look very problematic and stuff like that. But I think even if Salah starts performing a little bit worse, I still think, you know, Saudi would jump at the opportunity to bring him there. Whether he'd go there or whatever is a different thing and that. But, you know, it'd be interesting. Can you find out the highest earner in the Premier League?
Yeah, it might well be Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland, but I will check.
Because I know last time Salah benchmarked himself against De Bruyne, and that was but he based what he was asking for on a new contract De Bruyne had just got.
Yeah,
he'll still think he's one of the best in the Premier League. He is, but the problem is for Liverpool, if you give him a 3-year contract or something, you need to know he's still going to be where he is in 2 years.
Yeah, in 2 years, yeah, exactly.
So,
that's the point. So Kevin De Bruyne right now is about the same age as Mo Salah, and I was right, it's Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland. This is the hilarious one. We did this on a show on Monday. Casemiro's the highest wage earner at Manchester United on 350, and he's fallen off.
Exactly.
And do you know what's worse, right? If I just go back a couple of screens to Manchester United's thing, they are in so much trouble. He has got 2 years left on his deal, Casemiro, at 350 grand a week.
Yeah.
And he's currently earning exactly the same amount as Mo. And Man United, I would say 7 of the top 8 aren't in their first team, Josh.
Yeah.
Casemiro, Rashford, Mason Mount on 250 grand a week, Bruno Fernandes, obviously, Antony, Harry Maguire, Christian Eriksen is one of their top earners, and Luke Shaw. Only Bruno Fernandes for me is a nailed on first teamer for them. So they've got their own problems in terms of the contract situation. I just find it fascinating. And again, I will say, I really hope that Liverpool do something with Mo, because it doesn't look to me or to anybody else like there is a problem there. But like, we know what Michael Edwards thinks about offering big contracts and long-term deals. If you could do a 1+1 deal, I think Liverpool would bite your hand off for a 1+1 club option on the second deal. I just don't see that Mo would.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky, innit? It's all about the length and all that, and the weight that he demands and stuff. Like an example I'm going to use now. In the summer, West Ham signed Nicholas Füllkrug from Dortmund.
Okay.
At a decent Euros, decent in the Champions League for Dortmund last season. I think he reached the final. A lot of people would have probably looked at that and thought, oh yeah, he's a good player. It's a good signing that. West Ham have signed him, right? I think they paid about 25-30 million for him or something. But he's 31. He's going to be 32 in February. And they've given him a 4-year contract. And they'll be paying him a fair bit as well.
He's
apparently on about £100 a week or something.
I can't see it in terms of that, but I can see it on my screen here. He's the 7th highest earner, I think. But he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 years on it.
So just think about Füllkrug as a player. He's already not very mobile. So think of what he might look like 2 years into that 4-year deal when he's pretty much 34.
Yeah.
They'll still have another 2 years that they're paying him for. They'll probably find it hard to shift him because at that point they'll be paying him well more than he deserves. That's a bad contract. Do you see what I mean? That's the kind of thing. Man United give out tons of these. I don't think Salah and Virgil are bad contracts, obviously, but you know, the context comes into it. Depends what they're asking for and all that. But I really don't think it's emotion in me suggesting that they are not going to fall off a cliff anytime soon. I just don't think they are. I really don't.
Did you think Mane would?
Yeah.
You did?
A bit. Not. Yeah.
Because that last season when he went to the number 9, he was exceptional. No, but he was just nowhere near as good on the left anymore when Diaz took his place. Yeah.
When we sold Mane, I wasn't that against it. A lot of people were saying it's a snippet. It's only 35 million. He's amazing and all that. I really weren't that against that. I think that was an alright sale, and it's proved to be that way. With Salah,
I think the football we play under Slot, sorry to interrupt, also has an impact on this, because I just don't think he's being asked to do as much off the ball, and I think that's important for his longevity as well. Yeah,
same with Van Dijk, really. You know, Van Dijk looks a lot like he's not being asked to defend wide open spaces as much as he did and stuff. And Van Dijk, by the way, was a late bloomer. You know, he's playing in
Scotland.
Yeah, I think he only emerged on the scene like as a footballer at the age of like 19 or something, compared to some other lads like De Ligt, for example, was starting at 16.
Pretty much done.
Yeah.
By 19. He was getting binned off by teams by that point.
His peak was when he was 12 or something, by the looks of it. But
just like me, to be fair.
But I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens though, because the people who are doing it, I have a lot of faith in. You know, people will know that from like my book and stuff like that. But if they choose to let them go, one of them or two, especially two of them, I'll be surprised, mate. So we'll see on that.
Okay, we'll wrap that one up there. We'll go over to Redmen Plus and we'll answer the rest of the questions that we didn't get through. So thank you very much for joining us. If you want to sign up for Redmen Plus, you can do. Redmenplus.com is the best place to sign up. You'll get videos, you'll get them in podcast players, you get everything we do. But if there is a new tier on YouTube memberships as well, if you just want the Redmen Plus videos, you can do. So yeah, sign up on memberships if it's your thing. Thank you very much, Josh. We'll see you all soon. Try.